What's up, guys? I wanted to put together a tier list. I'm a free-to-play player that's been playing since the launch, not the beta, so I just wanted to kind of put this thing together and what I've been experiencing and what I feel like is the best. I play with a clan of a bunch of friends too, and we talk all the time on Discord, so just wanted to throw this thing together. We'll go from alphabetical order from double S to D tier. We should have a trash tier there, but everything actually does have its use. So if you love a card, and I might put it at like a C tier, like I'll, I'll probably talk why I think that. And every single card has its use. Like there's nothing wrong with any cards, but just some work better than others. But we're gonna go in alphabetical order. And Abomination is the first thing. Abomination. I love Bansheeing in an Abomination, but for 6 cost, I'm going to put him as a C tier unit. And this is for PvE only. So I use him in PvE sometimes. Like if I have a Tyrion deck, and he has some uses. He's also great at like hooking ranged units. But for 6 gold, I'm just going to say not the best. Still very usable in many scenarios. Not all scenarios by any means, but some scenarios he's useful. We have Banshee. Banshee is probably, oh man, that's up there. I'm going to say S tier. I'm not going to give her double S just because she will change your life. If you're pushing heroics and you get that talent, especially that when she takes over something, she will give it full life. You can take Lava Giants, you can take, or Molten Giants, you can take Abominations, you can take Huntresses sometimes. Like, you can just take all this stuff, just switches the entire game around. So, Banshee, S tier, that is probably the lowest I would ever go on that. That's used in probably 75 to 80% of heroics if you want to have an easy time. Arcane Blast. Some of you guys might hate me. I think this is a very niche card, very unusable in my mind. So, it is 1 gold, and it kind of has a place to like knock out Goblin Sappers, but that is about it. I kind of hate it. Chickens it can knock out too, but no, to take an actual spot in your deck, I think it's not almost ever worth it. So I'm putting that in the D tier. The talents are also not very good for that thing. Batrider. Batrider is next, and Batrider is an interesting card. I really like Batrider. It's a nice cycle card. It's only 2 cost, so Batrider is extremely usable in a lot of maps. That being said, it does get killed very easily, but people still have to deal with it. I don't know. I'm in between S and A tier here. I'm going to go A tier for Batrider just because there are other cards that kind of do the same thing. I think the Batrider, especially with the talent that gives them a bigger range on their little explosion thing, is extremely good. But I would say Batrider is usable, if not like very, very good, in probably half of heroic matches, and that would also go down into just regular maps if you aren't at heroics left yet too. We got Blizzard next. Blizzard is good. It's very good in PvP. It has its use in PvE, but overall, I think that it's pretty bad. If you are under leveled and pushing heroics, or like even level, you aren't gonna kill much with it, and you can kill it, I feel like, with a save pilot or other things much easier. So I see a lot of guys that put like Blizzard as S tier. I think that's very wrong. For 4 gold, I'm gonna put that as it's in between B and C for me. I'm actually going to put it down into C tier. I know that a lot of you guys use it, and it's fine. It does a job. It's very simple. It's very big. It's a very wide spell. But for me personally, I'm going to put that in C tier. Catapult, Meat Wagon. Meat Wagon's pretty cool. There's a lot of PvE maps that he can outrange the towers. He outranges the bosses, so I call it a he. It's just a machine, but just chucking meat, man. It's pretty cool to see that thing actually work and not just get a wolf on it right away and kill it, or harpies on it right away. But it does happen. It's not perfect in every single map, but it is very usable. Low-ish DPS, but the range on it, especially with the talent that gives it 33% more range, or you can get the one that gives it Frenzy. I prefer the range, but either way, they're both very good. I'm going to put that as B tier because it is not very valuable in a lot of maps, but in some maps, it's extremely valuable. Moving on to Chain Lightning. Chain Lightning is also one of those ones that I see in a lot of tier lists that are like A tier, S tier. I think it's trash. I really dislike the thing. For a cycle card, sure. If you want cheap cards to cycle, that's fine. Maybe in PvP, it has a little bit more use because there's so many like old Murloc players and just swarmy type of decks. But in PvE, I think it is as bad as Arcane Blast. I'm going to actually put that as D tier. I cannot think of a time that I was like, dang, I really wish I had Chain Lightning in my deck. Like, if there's... What do you even use it on? Like, chickens, Murlocs, maybe. You can deal with those in so many different ways. Like, why waste a card slot for something that's very situational? That being said, there probably is a handful of maps where it would do good. Cheat Death is pretty cool. Cheat Death is used here and there. I would say it's used on, like, say you have Harpies going into a boss, and the Poison Harpies or something like that, or chickens, or Welp Eggs that just explode. You can throw Cheat Death right on top of that and give them like another 5 seconds of attacking into a boss. That is about the only reason I would use the thing. For 3 gold, I don't think it's worth it. If you really have to push that extra damage, okay, but I'm going to put that C tier. It is very situational. You kind of got to have more of a burn deck where you're trying to kind of use Unbound all on top of them. Yeah, C tier I think is about the highest it deserves. Angry Chickens. I did not think anything about Angry Chickens for the longest time. Like, who wants a bunch of things that die instantly? Now, that being said, if you have a tank or something, you throw a Quilboar up or an Earth Elemental or just have something somewhere else, you put chickens behind that thing, it's going to melt that so fast it'll blow your mind. So, chickens have actually more recently found its way into a spot, like in my decks, way more often than I ever thought they would have. So, I'm not going to give them S tier because they are still garbage in a lot of maps, but in a lot of maps they're not. So I'm going to put those right in A tier. And yeah, you'd be surprised how good those things are. Like that and Harpies are kind of almost, I don't want to say they're interchangeable. They do operate differently, but chickens are very good. Dark Iron Miner, I love Dark Iron Miner in PvP. It definitely has its place in PvE as well. Winning that gold battle is huge versus the opponent. So, the opponent being the computer, the NPC. So, if they have like easy gold that they're getting up near them all the time, you're just gonna feel swarmed. I can't keep up. I can't keep up. So maybe Dark Iron Miner would have a place in a lot of PvE decks. I generally don't use them, but I used to use them a lot more. I don't know. I think that he's worth tinkering with if you're struggling with the level and you see that you're losing that gold battle. Maybe bring that Dark Iron Dwarf in. But generally, I would say he's probably not played too often in the PvE deck. That being said, he's really not terrible. I'm throwing him in as a B tier. Defias Bandits is cool. Defias Bandits has a talent that if they open a chest, you get 4 gold. So instead of 2. So they're 1 cost, great cycle unit. They stun for like 3 seconds when they hit something, maybe even 4. It's like a long time. When they break out of stealth, they'll stun something. Their DPS is garbage. It takes them 5 seconds just to open a chest. Like, it's not good. But as a support unit and a cycle unit and also that potential more gold, Defias Bandits is up there. It's really up there. I'm not going to give it S tier, but I think it belongs right in A tier. And if you're doing a high cycle deck, it definitely can be an S tier. If you're doing more of a normal, 3-4 cost deck on average, yeah, it might be more on that A tier level. But that is like, I'm going to put that actually high A tier. I haven't been doing that yet, but yeah, I actually kind of like that. So, high A tier, low S tier, Defias Bandits. Drake. Drake has a talent that when it flies around, it poops Drake eggs, or Welp Eggs. It puts them down probably every 8 seconds. It's like, if it flies around for a while, the thing just litters the whole battleground with Drake eggs. So if I were saying this is PvP, I potentially could go S tier in PvP with this guy. PvE, not so much. If you're doing like a Ren deck, of course you play him, and he's probably S tier. If you're playing any other deck, you're probably not using him. You could be using him, but I just don't think so. He's very easy to kill. Doesn't have much HP, but yeah, I'm going to put him low B tier right now. Situationally, he can, like I said, be S tier. So don't just take that with a grain of salt. Like, he can be very good. Execute is something that I don't really care for. However, there is a talent with Execute that allows anything in the Execute range to be bloodlusted. So if you have like Harpies coming in at the boss, and then you say put an Earth Elemental behind the boss, so it's facing that, and then you execute that boss with your Harpies in range, and the Harpies have like poison or whatever, that thing will melt in like 3 seconds. It's crazy how much damage that thing does. So it's I think of Execute as basically a ranged bloodlust, but it is 3 cost. Is it worth doing that on something that's going to die pretty quick? It bloodlusts him for 10 seconds, not indefinitely too. I'm going to put Execute in a lowish B tier. I'll put it right in front of the old Drake. It's very good, but it's very situational. So, yeah, it's good. Earth Elemental is next, and Earth Elemental is great. It's very good. I use the talent that's when it dies, it splits into 2. So it's just more tankage, but that usually only lasts for like 2 seconds, if that. But if you're playing the game, you know that situation... Stop it, phone. You know that the situation for placement, you know, like if you have DPS coming up on something, you have to make sure that like a Drake or a Pyromancer doesn't just totally wipe all your DPS out. So what you need to do is drop either a Quilboar or an Earth Elemental behind it, an unbound unit behind it. So those things turn around, they shoot that, and then your DPS is able to do work. So Earth Elemental absolutely has its place. If you're doing some kind of like unbound cheese directly on the boss, absolutely has its place. So for only 3 gold, being an unbound unit, a great tank, I'm going to put that on low A tier. And if you're doing any kind of unbound deck, or you're trying to push that boss in some certain way, it could be up to S tier too. So it is a extremely good card. Fire Elemental, I'll be honest, I have never even put this thing in my deck. I fight him plenty, you know, in all these different maps, and he's just like, hey, I'm a very slow moving tank that cost 4. I only hit the ground, and I just die. So with very limited knowledge on this guy, I'll be honest. If you've used this guy and you think I'm wrong, let me know. I'm just putting him at the bottom of the list. I think for 4 gold, a slow-moving tank, he's worse than Ghoul. Like, why would I want that? 1-on-1, of course, he'd be Ghoul, but, like, you know what I mean. He does have a talent, though, that when he dies, he leaves a huge burning thing on the ground, like lava pool. And that only hits enemies, not you. And it stays for a while. If you've been playing PvE maps, you've probably seen that happen and how annoying that actually is. But you know, if you're the PvE, they might fall for it a little bit, but they'll probably just avoid it. So maybe that's an unfair placement for him, but like I said before, everything can be used. But for me, no, I'm not using it. Gargoyle is next. Gargoyle is a very fun siege card. I think that anything that is directly siege and only damages the building, just as an overall general rule, if you're not trying to cheese it straight up, is a bad card. And a lot of you guys are going to disagree with me and say, no, Gargoyle just goes in and wins. And it's true. It's true. But if he doesn't, if he gets taken out, you've just wasted 4 gold and haven't really accomplished anything. I would rather use that gold towards throwing tanks out there, DPS, blah, 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 blah. I don't know. I'm starting to almost disagree with myself in some ways, but he's very usable. You can cheese a lot of stuff. If he's higher level than the heroics you're fighting or your maps you're fighting, he can fly in there, and he's super, super tanky. You could even throw DPS behind him and use him as a flying tank. So he's not totally useless by any means whatsoever. He's decent. So for that, I'm gonna put him. That's close. I'm gonna put him medium C tier. You could build decks entirely around Gargoyle and protect Gargoyle and shove him through. You could do that. That's not my favorite type of play style, so that's not something that I'm really looking to do. But you could absolutely use Gargoyle in a lot of different ways. Firehammer is next. Firehammer is probably outside of like chickens, maybe harpies. No, probably even both. It hits ground and air, and it does more and more damage to the target as it stands still. So it's got flurry. So it's very good single target damage. Hits both ground and air from range. I think that it loses a little bit of luster because of Banshee. How do those things have to do with each other? If a thing has a ton of HP, I kind of want to steal it. I don't really want to kill it. So if it's an Abomination, well, Abomination's just going to suck this thing in and kill it anyway. But or hook it. But Abomination's just going to hook the thing and kill it anyway. But yeah, I would rather just cycle through, get to Banshee, and take it. There are certain levels, though, where you can't do that. Like it's something that you can't steal. So that's where Firehammer really comes into play and does a great job. A very good card. It is 4. If it was 3, I'd put it on the high A tier. I'm going to still put it in the A tier and put it a little bit lower on the A tier because it's an extremely good card. It is somewhat situational, but it's great. Footmen. I used to hate Footmen. Very slow, not a ton of damage, but situationally, again, if you put this with a healer, Tyrion or something like that, you can just create this little death ball that's going to go all the way to the end and just win. It's for its cost, it's by far the most HP. Individually, not the most HP, but as a group, by far the most HP. So if you have like an AE heal, like a Frostwolf Shaman, which we'll talk about next, or Tyrion, those things can be very good. So, but again, it's situational. You probably don't use these very often. So I'm going to put them low on the B tier right now. I don't know how I can put those above Abomination, I'll be honest. Abomination, it's a little bit better. I'm going to put them right behind the Abomination. High C tier, Abomination, I kind of regret putting you there. I kind of wish you were low B right now, but hey, it is what it is. I already chose it. Can't change it. So the next one we're talking about is Frostwolf Shaman. Very useful when you're doing some kind of heavy tank push build. So if you're doing something where you're just going to shove through, and you have Abominations or Footmen, very, very useful. If you're not doing that, very not useful. So that being said, let's shove them right in between the two tanks, because if you're running Abomination or you're running Footmen, you're probably running Frostwolf Shaman. If you're not, you're probably not. So those two kind of go together. Maybe Lava Hounds too, or Core Hounds. Yeah, that's where it is. Ghoul. Ghoul is a very good tank, decent health, and he regens his life all the time, sometimes while being attacked, making him like an invincible take while he's eating. So, as a cheap 2 gold cycle tank, he's hard to beat. There's nothing like it in the game. So, I don't use him in every map by any means, but you can. You literally can use that guy in every single map, and he's never going to be bad. Like, he's just... okay, he's 2 gold, whatever. He died quick or he died something, but he's an extremely good tank that can get your DPS behind it, and he's slow, so if you have slow stuff, whatever. I'm going to put him right in front of Earth Elemental in the A tier. Extremely usable in almost every single map. Very, very good. Gnoll Brute. Gnoll Brute is next. He is a little bit annoying. If he was a 2 gold unit, he would be high A. As a 3 gold unit, it doesn't quite qualify for The cycle, he's a decent tank. He does an AE attack, not single target, so that's cool. I still think that he is somewhat unusable just because Ghoul's better. Like, Ghoul's just a better card. So I'm going to put him low C, right behind Blizzard, right in front of Cheat Death. Good card-ish sometimes. I wouldn't use it. What are you, Flame Walker? What's your name? Flame Walker or something. I think you're Fire Walker or something like that. I'll be honest on this one. I've never used it again. For 4 in ground to ground, not my favorite kind of card to have in a deck. It's very situational. You fight these things all the time in PvE though, and they're not that strong. They do a ton of damage and they have a huge spread, but it's all ground to ground. So with that kind of situational problem, unless you're fighting like in a fully ground to ground or fully ground based PvE map, I think it's very not good. So I'm going to put that as far as, yeah, I'm going to put that in between these two spells. Low D tier, I don't think it's very good. In probably 10 to 20% of the matches, it could be very good. Grunts are kind of cool. If they were, 5 is just too much. Like, they don't do any damage. They absorb a ton of damage. So they have a tank spot. So, without talking about them too much, let's just put them right behind Footmen. I think Footmen are better than Grunts. Grunts serve a purpose, and especially if you're running like Cairn and you give them a bonus 20% HP, situationally they could be the best tanks probably in the game. For me, not my cup of tea. I think that it is not as good as Abomination or Footmen, but here we are. Gryphon. Gryphon is really good. It's air to air or air to ground, and the talents are either like a flurry or a ranged type build. It just gives it more range, like 9 range, which is pretty far. For 2 gold, they don't do crazy damage, but their DPS is actually up there. It's up there with almost any single target thing. So I think people overlook this thing all the time. It's very, very usable in almost every single deck. The only time it's not is like if there's a bunch of Huntresses or maybe Murlocs or something like that that are just killing it really quick. If you can have some support with it, some tank up front, that thing will just throw hammers all day. And it is weak, it dies quick, but if you can protect it somewhat, the thing is not that bad at all. I'm going to put that high B tier, the absolute front. Not there. Absolute front of B tier. Very, very usable card. Goblin Sappers. Goblin Sappers are super fun. I don't have them super high level, but you know how terrifying they are when you fight them. Like, if they're coming at your base, you stop everything you're doing, and you stop these things. So, they're somewhat cheap, so that's a good thing. If they get stopped, you're just out that gold. Hopefully they use gold to stop it. But if you throw them in a bad way, or, like, their DPS just kills it, like, yeah, you could lose some gold on that because it doesn't do anything. But to wipe out the boss at the end or something like that, like, it is a pretty good card. It's a pretty fun card. Situational, though, I don't like to use a card space for that type of card. I think that it's too important of real estate to keep, so I personally very rarely use it. But I'll put it right next to Catapult. They kind of have similar uses. You're not ever going to run both these things, but you could cheese a tower with a Catapult. You could cheese a tower with the Sappers, so yeah. Harpies. Harpies. I know you guys love Harpies, and that's for good reason. They are insane. They have 2 talents that are very good. If you want to do the most damage ever, you just have those poison claws, and if you can like get those on a boss for a half second, the thing just dies. They're air to air and air to ground, but generally you want them to not get into any kind of range combat because they do melt really quickly. Great card. Oh, the other talent is the mining. They can actually go and mine stuff. I don't like that too much, but because it raises the cost of them by 1. But it will steal the gold from letting the enemy take it, so they definitely could pay off pretty quick too. I'm going to put... This is nearly SS tier. I'm going to put them S tier, and I'm actually going to put them right behind Banshee. They are extremely good. You can use them in every single battle and be totally happy with it. Going on to Huntress. Everybody's got just such a hard-on for Huntress. It's great. It sucks playing against it. You know, like, oh, great. All my backline DPS gets killed. It's very good. It's very good in certain situations, but 5 gold is not nothing either. So, all of her talents are pretty good. She has like 5 Moonglaive bounces. I personally like Ambush the most because she does more damage and she is stealthed. So, very good card in PvP. Still difficult to justify the cost, though. I don't use it that much in PvE anymore. I did back in the day, but it is still very usable. So I'm gonna put her A tier towards the back. Yeah, like if she was 4 cost, she'd be SS tier. At 5 cost, it makes you think. You gotta make sure you have tanks out there and stuff. She goes out by herself, she's in trouble. Harvest Golem. Harvest Golem's just a crappy tank for... Is that 4 gold? Is it really 4 gold? Let me check. I didn't take a good picture. Alright, my bad. It's 3 gold. That's reasonable. It's still bad. I would never use it. It's a tank that also, when it dies, it comes back. And its talents aren't that great. No, just a hard pass on Harvest Golem. It's not as good as Ghoul. It's not as good as Rock Elemental. Earth Elemental. It's just not great. I'll put it low C tier only because I've never really used it. I only play against it, and I have no interest in the dumb thing. So, yeah, there we are. Next up, we have Living Bomb. Living Bomb is probably the most powerful spell in the game, but it costs 6 gold, which is insane. Like, if you get a big group of things, sure, Living Bomb, cool. You just use 6 gold, like, you could do other things than that 90% of the time. So for 6 gold, Living Bomb, I should create a new trash tier. I'm going to put that at the end of D tier because at 5 gold, maybe worth it. I would still say it probably would live in the same spot in the very bottom of D. For 4 gold, now we're talking like A tier though. So, you know, maybe it was cheaper at one point and then everybody was using it, so they had to just nerf it to heck. I don't know. But yeah, bad. Never use it, in my opinion, unless there's like literally one map that like everything somehow collides in this one massive supernova and then you can explode it all. But short of that, I can't imagine it's that used. Holy Nova's good in situational ways. It's fairly cheap. And if you're doing the big tank push, if you got Footmen and Tyrion, and you got another Tyrion coming in, another batch of Footmen, having a Holy Nova back is actually pretty good just to heal that up. Other than that, I can't really see it being very used. So situationally, we'll put it right around these tanks. We'll put it lower than Gargoyle for sure. Lower than Blizzard. We'll put it right over there. Yeah. Not great, but situationally can be good. Meat Wagon. I have 2 Meat Wagons there. Weird. Alright. Well, can I get rid of you? We'll leave that Meat Wagon in the back. Okay. Core Hounds. Oh man, when I just said that lava... I just said the thing and I can't remember it again. Living Bomb is the worst card in the game. For 6... These things might be up there. I'm going to put that right before Living Bomb. There is a reason where you'd use these things, but I can't imagine that you'd ever use them over the other tanks. The other tanks just seem to be significantly better. If one of them dies, of course the other one will sit there and try to res it. If that happens, okay, you get more tank time. But while that's happening, it just sits there and does nothing for a long time, which is what you kind of wanted at your tanks, but... they're super slow. They're just, in my opinion, for 6 gold, trash tier. Bad. Some people use them though, and I've seen them love them. So, yeah, here we are. Murlocs are a good enough cycle card. I'd say they have. They hit ground and air, but they do die pretty quick. With their talent, they get that bubble that absorbs 1 hit, which is kind of gives them a significant amount of HP. Comparatively, because things die so quick in this game. With that talent, I don't know, they're decent. I will put them right above Execute. Mid B tier, I think, is about right for Murlocs. They absolutely have their use. Molten Giant. Molten Giant's decent as well. It's great if you can steal one with your Banshee up there, but if you can't do that, then I would never play it. It's too expensive. Some people like it for their tank. If you've had it leveled up, it's a tank. I'm gonna put that right low D tier. I don't think it's nearly as good as literally any other of these tanks. Maybe slightly better than Core Hounds. Alright, moving on to Necromancer. I like Necromancer a lot. A lot of people have him as S tier. I think that that's fair. If you've played Necro every single time, he's constant. He's like a tank in a way, because he just puts so much crap up there, and he summons those Frost Mages with talent as well. So, very, very good card for only 4. Decent, very decent. I'm going to put him right next to, let's see here. I'm actually going to put him up a little bit. I'll put him right next to Chickens. Very good card. I don't use him all the time. I don't love him, but I know why he is very good. And he's also a little underleveled for me too. So, yeah, very good card. Just not my cup of tea, but extremely good card. Mountaineer. You face these things all the time. I've never seen anyone else use them though. Like, again, 6 gold. You better be a really good card for 6 gold. And what you are is a card that gets put down, and then almost like always your Mountaineer itself gets killed, and then there's just a lone bear there, which is like a pretty average to below average tank. So I'm gonna put him low D tier. No, I'm gonna put him actually mid D tier. Very bad. Pyromancer. Pyromancer is one of your main DPSs. AE, ground, air. It's slow moving, which can be a good thing if you're doing kind of a slow pusher. Extremely good card. It's up there with the best of them. So I'm going to put that right. Actually, I'm going to take that number 1A. It's near S. It really is near S. But I'm going to put him number 1A tier. And yeah, great card. You can also get some talents that make him his first shot do 3 times more damage, or double as wide on his blast radius, which is just crazy. Both those are very, very good, depending on the situation you're in. Prowler. Prowler with the stealth talent especially, just a very fast tank. You know, because of every single map, and there's just a ton of wolves seemingly everywhere, how annoying wolves can be. And they're just as annoying when you play them too. So they're a good card. I really like Wolf. I find a place for that in a lot of different maps. Very good card. I'm gonna put him near the Ghoul because to me it's Ghoul or Wolf in almost every single map. I usually use one of those. Lately it's been Wolf over Ghoul too. So just kind of depends, but both extremely good cards. Polymorph is probably one of the more slept on cards too. Like, that is just, it does so many things. It only costs 3 with the talent to make one of the sheep gold. It really costs 2, and then it's an AE polymorph that also reduces the health while they're polymorphed by like at least 50%. It's up there. It's significant. So a lot of times I'll polymorph like a group of something, a Huntress and a couple wolves are all together. You polymorph it, throw a save pile out, and it just wipes them all out. Like, it's such value. It gives your DPS time. You have a bunch of crap coming in at your base. You throw a Pyromancer down, you polymorph stuff, dead, like, within seconds. So, it takes a little skill to use, too. That's one thing that, like, your timing has to really be on with that. If you're looking to just over-level stuff and just hard push all the time, it's probably not your cup of tea. But if you're looking to be finicky and dropping that tank perfectly there and just, you know, having timing as part of your game, Polymorph is a great card. In my opinion, the best spell in the game. I'm going to put that mid-A tier right there. That thing is an extremely good card. Used in probably, you could use it in probably 30 to 50% of heroic maps too, because it's just great. Ogre Magi, another card just is used as wolves from the PvE side of things. You see these all the time. They are somewhat annoying to deal with. However, when I use them, I feel like they just get killed instantly. It's weird. Like you should be good. You're doing good against me in there. When I play the thing, it just like dies. So it is a little under-leveled. So levels are a big thing. I don't think it's very useful. I'm gonna put him behind the Gargoyle and behind the Blizzard. Usable, I'm sure. I'm sure some of you love him. The Bloodlust talent, when he bloodlusts something else, he gets bloodlusted himself. It's good. His DPS is up there. 5 gold is a lot for a ranged unit, like a ranged support unit. It's a good card. It's just situational. Quilboar. Quilboar is used in every single deck. Almost every single time. It's crazy. It's crazy how good this is. When you play any DPS and it's coming up against something else that's going to kill your DPS, you have to throw Quilboar down, or if you have to throw Rock Elemental down. That's the only two things. Quilboar costs 2 too, so it's like, and it also has the talent that it does a little bit of damage back. That's fantastic for like chickens. Angry chickens come at it, throw the thing up, just kills them all in one hit. It's by far, I don't want to say by far the best card in the game, but it is so highly used, you should prioritize this before anything. In my opinion, the best card, probably the best card. There's one more coming up, which I might talk about too. I'm going to put that as double S, best card, used in 95% of your decks. 90% of your decks, because there are some weird ones. Raptors. Raptors is another one you see quite a bit in PvE. What? No, just don't play these things. It's stupid. You can play them multiple times, like blah 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 blah. You're not that bad though. You're not worse than Harvest Golem. I will give you that. You're not better than Cheat Death though. All right, we'll put you low C tier, buddy. Yeah, you can play 1, then 2, then 3. Costs a bunch of gold. You have a bunch of crappy units that will die. So no, I think it's bad unit. You can use them in PvP maybe a little bit more too, but no. Anyway, on to skeletons. These are situational, but often used in some kind of base race situation. They're good to... They're cheap. I don't know. There's not much to them. But I use them sometimes when I'm trying to like throw a Quilboar up or an Earth Elemental up at the boss, then throw those behind it. You get that extra DPS in. It can be fine. Good card. Situationally good. May have they're strong if you're playing that hero. I'm going to put them low-ish B tier. Very usable card in a lot of ways. Skeleton Party, not much more to say about it. It's like skeletons, but just more expensive and more powerful. It's like super skeletons. The 5-man party is kind of fun. Like they're fine, but like a safe pilot just lands on it. And, hey, there goes 4 gold. Good job, dummy. Now coming up, we have Safe Pilot, another card that is unbelievably good in every single way. I treat it more as a fireball with like the crash and burn, and if she gets a shot off, fantastic. Or you can always put it on top of a bridge. In PvP, she's the best card. In PvE, she is highly usable. When she lands, if you can put it behind your tanks, she does good. If you can get the crash and burn and put it directly on his stuff, she's extremely good. She pairs super well with Polymorph as well. I'm going to put her as double S tier as well, right behind Quilboar. I barely ever don't use her. It is very rare to not use Safe Pilot and Quilboar. The Spiderlings are pretty good. They have their use in certain maps. The poison can be very good. I don't use it very often. You're not better than that. We'll put you right in front of the old Ogre Magi. Certain maps can be quite good. I've never used vultures. I know they could be good in certain maps, but it just takes one little puff of air and they all die. But if you're doing a excuse me. you're doing a heavy cycle deck, where you just need to cycle to get to whatever cards you really need, it's a 1-cost unit. There's 2 of those cards. How many 1-costs are there? 3? Bandits, Smoke Bomb, Vultures. I don't know. I think that's it. I think there's only 3. Oh, and that guy too. Raptors too. Oh, and Arcane Blast. Alright, there's 5. That's all. Maybe. So, that could be good for some kind of cycle deck. I don't know. I can't imagine it's that useful. I'm going to put him bottom. No, I'm going to put him even lower. I'm going to put him mid D tier. Obviously, if you're doing some kind of high cycle deck, use it like 1 gold, just boom, 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 boom. Without that, I can't see him being that used. Tauren, Stonehoof Tauren. This is just a strangely good card. It counters everything. Everything on the ground, it's better than it, except like chickens. Like it does do single target, but it just shoots around. When you get especially the talent where it shoots around the map, it charges, and if it has another target, it charges that, and it charges back, and it just charges all over the place. It's got a ton of HP. It does great charge damage, decent single hit damage, and it's only 4 gold. In PvP, it's extremely good. In PvE, it's still extremely good. You can use this thing all the time, and so many people sleep on this card. It is a fantastic card. I'm actually going to put that. Oh, that's close. I'm not gonna do it and put it on S tier, although it could be S tier. It is that good. I'm gonna put him right behind Pyromancer as high A tier. Unbelievably good card. Next we have Welp Eggs. With the Explosion Welpy Egg boys, those things will just like they do so much, and it's hard to like know when and why they will. And there's some maps that aren't all that great too, but almost always they have a Darkspear Troll coming up or something like that. I don't see Darkspear Troll. Speaking of that, weird. Okay, they have Darkspear Troll coming up. You just put it right at its feet. It kills them. Boom. Like it does damage to it. It kills another one. Explodes. Like Safe Pilot. You put it right on top of that. It blows it up and then explodes. Like they do so much. Not to mention like they're hard counters for things like Stonehoof Tauren. They're hard counters for any kind of like Abomination or Tank or Wolf. Like they're just the stuff that you face a lot. They are very good against. So that's why I really like Welp Eggs, and those things belong in S tier, or right behind Harpies in my opinion. But those things are unbelievably good. I am a little bit upset. I'm going to call this the Darkspear Troll. How many did I miss? If I missed that, what else did I miss? If I have to redo this whole thing, I'll be a little bummed. Okay, Hog Rider is next. I always call it Hog Rider, stupid Clash of Clans. Wolf Rider is next. It's a solid card. If you're playing that Karen again, or anything, then you're doing the siege only mode. It has its opportunity, but if you're doing siege only with that, in my opinion, play Gargoyle. So, nah, not for me. For 4 gold, it does a very similar thing as Gargoyle, in my opinion. If you're playing it as a normal unit, not very worth it. There's better cards for 4 gold. If you're playing it as a siege unit, also not as good as Gargoyle. So, unless you're playing it with Karen could make it better. Wagon is a good card. It's unbound, which makes him good. It will one-shot a lot of stuff. It'll win the battle with like an equal level Huntress. So if a Huntress is coming up, you can just win that battle by putting it up there, killing it. So, and then it also, for that oh crap moment, I have to get damage in on the boss. You can throw him right on top of the boss as well. So, Wagon has its place in a lot of different maps depending on what units they play. It's a great card. I'm going to put that right there, right in front of Ghoul. Mid A tier. Extremely good card. Yeah, very usable. Smoke Bomb, it can be useful. It can be useful, but no, not really. It's fun in PvP and PvE. What would you even use it for? I could see that being used on like your siege stuff. You know, siege or smoke bomb your Gargoyle, have that go all the way in. I actually haven't really tried that. Why haven't I tried that? Why did I just think about that right now? I might need to rethink my whole life with the whole smoke bomb on siege units thing. Yeah, I might try that a little later. Anyway, thinking that, now that I said that, I'm going to put that right between the 2 siege units, because if that works, smoke bombing, gargoyle, all the way to the end, that could move this whole thing up to S tier or something. So I don't have Darkspear Troll here. I think I must have took a picture of this twice instead of the Darkspear Troll. Darkspear Troll, especially with regeneration, I think is a great card. I would put him high B-ish. I think that's it. Alright guys, hopefully you like this take on at least what's good. Like I said before, everything is good. There's no just absolute trash card, maybe short of Living Bomb. I think it's trash. But everything has its use, and you just kind of gotta play around with it. Certain things are situational, and certain things are just used all the time. So even if something, you're like, I love Harvest Golem and I love Gargoyle, great. If it works for you, like it's not a bad card. It's just probably not as useful as other cards all the time. That's kind of what this tier list represents. Alright, that's it guys. I hope you enjoyed it. Leave a comment. Tell me why you think I'm an idiot. Tell me why you're right and I'm wrong. Or tell me what you think if you agree with me too. Alright guys, till next time, y'all take care.